Hello everybody, FAI here, and welcome back to the Accureye Ultimate Guide on every character in Apex Legends, as of now, and of course, going into the future. And in today's video, we are doing part 1, talking about Claustic, the second easiest character in my opinion. And yeah, let's go over his base abilities and my grading scale of Claustic in general. So, yeah, with that being said, let's go ahead and start talking about Claustic. Now, as you know, Claustic is a tank class. By being a tank class, this means that he will be taking the front lines of your team. In fact, I would recommend, if you have a Claustic or Gibraltar on your team, they take the front lines of your team because they are the heaviest tanks and the most useful tanks when it comes to, being in the front lines. So let's go ahead and talk about Claustic's abilities in general. Claustic's abilities are his passive, which is Nox Vision. Nox Vision allows you to gain threat vision on enemies who move through your gas. His tactical, which is the Nox gas trap, you can place up to 6 canisters that release steadily Nox gas when shot or triggered by enemies. And of course, his last ability, which is of course the Nox gas grenade. That's his ultimate, which is a blanket, which is to blanket a large area in Nox gas. Great for surprising enemies that are caught looking in loot, or just surprising enemies in general. He also has Fortified, which of course is his profile. Fortified means that he's going to have 15% of his damage reduced by incoming damage, or incoming damage is reduced by 15%, and of course he's not slowed by bullets. Thus making him a very good heavy character to use, in general. So, yeah, let's go ahead and talk about Nox. Nox in general is a very easy character to learn. He is a tank in total, and in his entirety, he is the main tank you want to look towards, especially when it comes to being in the front lines and just taking the blunt of the damage, or fighting out the blunt of the damage. I mean, if anyone is to be your fall behind, if you have a Claustic, then fall behind Claustic. If you have a Gibraltar, fall behind Gibraltar. I mean, obviously, those are the two best tanks to fall behind if you are, running some other character, like Wraith, Bangalore, Lifeline, Pathfinder. Wraith, Bangalore, and Pathfinder, as you know, even Lifeline, Wraith, Lifeline, and Pathfinder, as you all know, if you didn't know, are all squishy characters. So, in general, it wouldn't be smart for a squishy character like Wraith, Lifeline, or Pathfinder to try and take on someone like Claustic. Heck, even Watson is not a great matchup against someone like Claustic because, all those characters are ideal matchups for of course, Gibraltar, or for, of course, Claustic, because, again, it's due to a low profile. And, we'll explain profiles and stuff in a future video, but, again, those are your squishy type characters. Anyway, let's go ahead and continue to talk about the Nox gas and, his abilities. So, Nox, of course, or Claustic, should I say, he gets Nox Vision, which is his passive. Now, his passive is very, very useful against unsuspecting players, especially when they get caught in the gas. When they get caught in your gas, you can basically see, where your enemy is and what is going on with your team. So, I mean, obviously, it's a very useful ability to keep on hand, as you'll be able to, understand and get a clear vision of where your enemies are within their gas. Nox also isn't affected by his own gas. Now, this is a part of the passive that most people don't realize about Claustic, but Nox is not affected by his own gas or anyone in anyone who uses a caustic gas trap or grenade. Caustic can run through his own gas, and any other caustic's gas without fear of taking damage, or even without fear entirely. This is a unknown passive to some degree, and I think most players who play caustic don't even realize that caustic can do this. So let's move on to his second ability, which is also a very useful ability, especially when trying to trap a character or team into an area, which is the Nox gas trap. The Nox gas trap allows you to place 6 canisters of deadly Nox gas that can be triggered when shot or when an enemy is nearby. For the most part, you'll probably want to make it to where these things are not easily spotted. That way, you can kind of trap your opponent in their own, if you will, isolation chamber. So, I mean, when it comes to placing the Nox gas trap, make sure that you're in a building, and then don't place the Nox trap like right where the door is. If they're right like by the door, someone through a window can see it, and they'll basically activate it and run away. So you'll want to try to make sure that when it comes down to Nox gas, you'll want to make it to where the Nox gas trap is set somewhere just by the door. This way, they walk in. If you're sitting right next door or you're right by, they'll walk in, and all of a sudden, boom, ba, beam, you've got them trapped. You've got them trapped in their own isolation chamber, and thus making them an easy target for you to finish off. I mean, at the end of the day, that's the best way to use Nox's gas traps. You'll want to, make it to where they are not seen by enemies, and enemies can't just, scout them out. This is why in the open, Nox gas traps are probably the least effective to be used. But when you have a building or something nearby, you can try to lure an enemy into the Nox gas trap, and you'll be off to the races as far as, being able to control the battlefield, or just being able to control the field in general. So, But with that being said, that is Nox's gas trap. A very useful way of trapping your enemies when they can't see it. If they can't see it, then it's a fairly useless item, and it's a fairly useless thing to use. But, Anyway, moving on to the last thing about Nox, which is his gas grenade. This is his ultimate. And his ultimate fills up quite rather quickly. In fact, I would recommend, if you had a chance to use his ultimate, I would recommend using his ultimate and trying to, utilize it the best way you can. Because it's probably one of the best ultimates to use in an open area. If you manage to isolate an enemy team into a small chamber, then obviously the gas grenade or his ultimate is probably by far one of the best in the closed off area, as you'll be able to basically shut down your enemy team, and you'll be able to shut down whoever is trying to throw you for a run. But with that being said, I mean, let's talk about my rating of Claustic. And of course, some other, some of the matchups and stuff. As I never talked about Gibraltar's matchups, I will try to revise my Gibraltar matchups at some point in time. And I forgot to completely talk about the matchups for Gibraltar. But let's go ahead and talk about Claustic's matchups. So, Claustic, he's a very, very powerful tank. Much like Overwatch, I mean, you want to utilize this slow tank, to take care of squishy characters. Obviously, when it comes to matchups, squishies are the best to have Claustic takedown, because A, they take more damage, and B, of course, at the end of the day, these squishies almost will stand no chance against your barrage of bullets. So, who are the best matchups for Claustic? Well, in general, Wraith, Lifeline, and Pathfinder and Watson are the best matchups against Claustic. There's almost no way that a Wraith, a Pathfinder, or a Watson can beat a Claustic in the close range game. In fact, I would say that in general, with proper use of your Nox gas traps and proper use of your Nox gas grenade, there's almost no way a Lifeline, Pathfinder, Watson, or Wraith would be able to easily get out of the trap and would be able to easily survive alone. In general, this is probably the best way to play with Claustic, because again, the low profile characters will almost stand no chance against against your onslaught and against what you have to offer. On the other hand, matchups like Bangalore, matchups like Octane, matchups like Mirage, may not be such a good matchup against Claustic. Now, why is Bangalore, Octane, and Mirage not such a good matchup against Claustic? Well, let's face it, Mirage can easily use his decoy to escape a chasing Claustic. And because Claustic doesn't have like a tracking ability or anything, it could easily be a point of Mirage uses his decoy to put his decoy around the corner, and then he runs off on the other side of the corner. If you're not paying attention, or let's just say you are turning around the corner looking for the Mirage because let's say he escaped your vision, Mirage drops the decoy, all of a sudden Claustic raving the decoy is running one other way, which could easily mean that Mirage, if he runs the other way, could easily turn the tide, and of course, in general, make it to where Mirage gets to jump on a Claustic if they're not like properly using traps or properly having like certain layouts around where they're chasing that Mirage. So what about Bangalore? Well, with Bangalore, it's almost the same idea as Mirage, except because Bangalore has the smoke grenade and because she can pop a smoke, it would make Bangalore much easier to, once she spots, she pops the smoke, and all of a sudden she runs off. Now, as soon as she runs off, this means that the Claustic may be in the smoke trying to look for her, and of course, well, for, Bangalore, all of a sudden she's gone. She's out there. She's no longer in sight of Claustic. And of course, because of Claustic's slow movement, this means that, well, you just lost your target. You just lost the chance against your target. Octane, on the other hand, why is he a bad matchup for of course, Claustic? Well, Octane, of course, has his stim. As you all know, Octane has his stim. This means that he can stim back and blast off, which means that unless Claustic has a sniper, which, let's face it, I don't think many of you Claustics would ever need a sniper or should ever use a sniper. But let's just say Claustic doesn't have a sniper. All of a sudden, Octane stims, he's off to the races. You're gone. You're never going to see him. And you're probably never going to catch him because of his slow movement. Because of Claustic's slow movement. But let's go ahead and go to the rating system. Now, I rate the game. I rate these characters based on their usefulness, how hard or easy they are, and, between noob to expert or easy to expert. And, of course, I rate it based on their abilities, what weapons they can use, and all of that other jazz. So, and this is kind of my own system. In a way, this is my system. This is kind of the system I use to really rate the characters and really make it to, how it is for a non-skilled player or noob versus how much enjoyment you could get out of it for a pro or skilled player. So, when it comes down to it, Claustic is very noob friendly. I mean, obviously, I think his passive is almost about four stars entirely. I would call his passive Nox Vision 4 stars entirely. This is a very useful passive. And because of the passive that I just told you about, where Nox is not affected by his gas or any other Claustic's gas, this means that it's very, very useful for Claustic to be on your team. And for a noob who doesn't know exactly what they're doing, this is a very, very useful character. A very, very noob-friendly character. So let's move on to my rating for the Noxic Gas Trap. Proper use of the Noxic Gas Trap, proper use of using the trap entirely, and, being able to, just in general, be able to control the battlefield with gas and all this other jazz. I mean, I rate this 5 stars. With proper use of the gas trap, this means that you will be able to continuously control the battlefield. You will be able to, do exactly what you need to do to survive. And it almost shouldn't come as a surprise that, that with proper usage, Claustic can easily be one of the best characters for not only noob-friendly players, but skilled players as well. So, Nox Gas Trap, I rate it about 5 stars. And, again, this is one of the best items you could use easily to make yourself a better player in general. So let's talk about Gas Grenade, the Nox Gas Grenade. Again, I rate this about 5 stars, because it's one of the most useful ultimates when it comes down to Nox's arsenal. I think that this is a great ability, and I think that this is personally just an absolute ease to run with when it comes down to you needing to control the battle. Nox is all about controlling the battlefield and making the battle run in his favor. If you're not able to make the battle run in your favor, then obviously Nox is going to have a hard time, being used by you and overall being utilized. So, I would highly recommend using Nox when it comes down to, just in general, controlling the battle and just being able to play out what you need to play out. Because, again, I find that Nox can be a very useful character, especially when, you are using him in the fashion that he's meant to be used. And, of course, using him in general of, being able to control the battle and being able to, take control. So, and of course, with Fortified, him taking 15% less damage, that can be a very, very useful profile for new players. And, this is why, overall, I rate Claustic as an easy character. He's a very easy character. He's a very noob-friendly character to learn. I wouldn't give him anything other than noob-friendly, because all of his abilities work well together. And because all of his abilities work well together, this means that Claustic is by far probably one of the best noob-friendly characters to use. Of course, this is my opinion, but this is what I think about Claustic. He's very noob-friendly, and I would overall give him 5 stars entirely, because he is a very, very good character to use. He's noob-friendly, he's easy to use, and a skilled Claustic can be a dangerous, dangerous ally to have on hand. But that's my opinion. So with that being said, hopefully this is part 1. Hopefully you've learned the basics of Claustic, and hopefully this has helped you understand the basics of Claustic. I will be moving on to part 2, which is of course weapons, and what you can do, what weapons you should consider using for Claustic. But with that being said, thank you everybody for joining me today. Thank you for watching today. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. And yeah, hopefully this video has helped you become a better Claustic. But with that being said, thank you everybody for joining me. Thank you for watching. And if you like this video, you know what to do. Hit the like button, get subscribed, hit the bell notification because I know you want to know when my next video drops next. Thank you everybody for joining me today. Thank you for watching. I am live on Twitch at www.twitch.tv/FA_IEYE. I am live on Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday for sure for about 4 to 5 hours usually. But lately I've also been live on Monday and Tuesday. Monday and Tuesday will be about a 2 to 3 hour stream. And yeah, with that being said, thank you everybody for joining me today. Thank you for watching today's video. And yeah, until the next one, everybody, this is Accureye, or this is FAI, signing out and saying farewell, everyone.